Good morning, Gag. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Hey, you know what? Congratulations on another new funny film, Advanced Chemistry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you know what? It's always a pleasure speaking with you. So let's ask that obligatory question. What initially drew you that you wanted to be part of this project?
Well, Samba shoot, the lead in the film, he's a friend of mine and I've known him for several years now. And we did a film called Tiger Hunter. That was, I think, like 5, 6 years ago. And we've kept in touch and, he's an excellent actor, wonderful human being. And he once called me and then he said, well, I have a script that I'm doing and I would love for you to be a part of it. Do you mind reading it? And I said, yeah, send it to me. And of course, I made it a priority because he's a dear friend. And I said, yeah, I have to read it. So I read it and I really loved the script and I loved my part, you know. Uh, and I just immediately I texted him back. I said, hey, I'm in, count me in. So and I called my agents and and made an official offer and I said yes and we went ahead and had a lot of fun and created this excellent funny piece of work which I hope that you all will like.
Now, for you, a lot of your career, you've done a lot of funny parts, a lot of funny bits, and so on. What is it about these funny roles that keep on drawing you back?
Well, it's like when I started out, I don't think I was like particularly like a really good actor at that time. I'm still actually I'm struggling with it. I always do. But uh, but I thought that I could like make like a comedy work. With drama, I wasn't as good at it at that time. I mean, and with the years, of course, you learn, and I think I'm a much better actor than I was before. But and also, I think back in the '90s, there weren't very many roles available for this brown kid. At that time, now you'll see us everywhere. All kind of minorities in good roles, lead roles. You know, so this was before Kumail Nanjiani and all them guy, Hassan Minhaj and all these people, showed up on the scene. So I was like, when I arrived, there was nobody around, and they didn't really know what to do with me, and there wasn't really much available in terms of good roles. But I ended up doing a pilot for NBC, which was a comedy. So I wasn't like I didn't pick comedy as my thing that I wanted to do, but it just came and I kind of went with it, and apparently I had like the comedic sense and whatever they're like in timing and whatever they would look for, and I made it work, and it kind of took off. But majority of the role I think available at that time for people of like South Asia was like comedic roles. This funny Indian guy, funny Pakistani, store clerk and all that. Which it doesn't sound very exciting, but I kind of took it because that was what was available at that time, and I just ran with it, you know. Um, and that's a good thing, I made a career out of it, and out of that came, roles like Green Book and on Community, some of the things that were very dramatic that I had the good fortune. To do, and I was lucky enough to be a part of those programs, and they still keep coming, and that's fine because I think for some reason, like when it comes to like award shows, they always give out awards to people who can cry, who can do all those like emotional things. But I can't think of a single like Emmy or anything that, gives out an Emmy or something for just like comedic timing and making people laugh. It usually goes to the people who can make you laugh, but also who can also make you, cry and all that. So it's kind of, they look for that. I mean, and I always think that, it's not always like fair, like like what Brad Pitt did in Read It Before or Read It After Burning, that Coen Brothers film. And he was so brilliant. He was so freaking brilliant. He's like a dude, right? Brad Pitt, he's good looking, like a, surf dude. He could be like a, women dream about him and all that, but he played this stupid, brainless, guy. He had no clue about what was going on. And I thought he should have been nominated for that. And I don't know why people overlook it. It's always hard. I think it's a comedy is way harder than drama.
Yeah, I was gonna
You'll
say,
find, a lot of people can do comedy. It's easy to find I mean, a lot of people can do drama. It's easy to find actors who can do drama, but I think it's harder to find an actor who can be like really funny.
mhm.
It's harder to do, I think, and comedy is harder. But I'm happy to be a working actor, to be honest. I don't like divide, my roles into comedic and serious or drama and comedy. I don't. It's all the same because you don't play it as you're not playing it to be funny. You just play the reality of it, and hopefully it will come out funny. And that's what that like this movie is. But this movie is a bit different. Like my character, Jim guy, I was able to like really ham it up, and given the reality of the piece, it worked. You could like play it very broadly, make it very broad, which may not work in some of the films and shows, but for this one, it worked really well. And Itana and Alec did a great job, writing it. Itana, the director, she like gave me a lot of like room to play with and the freedom.
In comedy, doesn't the help of the chemistry with an ensemble cast actually?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and I was gonna say, you won a SAG award for the ensemble for
Right.
and the ensemble here, the chemistry working with everybody on the cast of
No,
this film is similar, right? If there's no chemistry,
absolutely, absolutely.
then comedy
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
work.
It's it's about people, getting together and having fun. All these talented people who are just naturally funny, you know, uh, and they're just like get up and do their thing, and it comes out funny, and it's like it really is a gift to be working with all these like actors who have like great comedic timings, and they can go crazy when there is a need, and make it work. And especially as an actor, what you said is so true. Like, they made me look, better. And I hope to return the favor, hopefully. Um, and Sama, he's great. I mean, I've seen him do like, different things, and I mean, he carries the film, because he's the lead and he's in every scene, and he really nailed it. He killed it. And I'm so grateful for that.
Well, you two also play a very funny character with Jim, but for some unknown reason, I don't see you as a Jim for someone
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but so sometimes, I mean, I do think, I mean, I just did well, last week I did something, and I know one of the comments I got from one of the producers was that, God, you come across as such a serious guy, but you surprised me because you were so funny when you did that. I said, oh, I don't know. Uh, but I know they did cast me, and apparently, it worked in the film, whatever I did,
What do you love about doing independent projects like advanced chemistry? Because I know you've done big projects
Yeah,
before and
sure.
some independent projects like this one
Yeah, yeah,
where the it's I want to say it's more intimate in its own way.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes, you do a project which is, like Transformers or something where they pay you pretty well and you make really good money and uh, but then you if you went through what I did, which actually almost every actor goes through, is going from like missing meals and like struggling to get work and to find work and all that, and then you get something. So when I read an indie film script, so I never forget that, and I always think that, okay, if it's a good role, then I'm not going to look for money, and I'm going to tell my agents not to, negotiate too hard and just take it because it's really is about doing good work, and you kind of uh, empathize with the people who are trying to make the film because it's so hard. I mean, making a film is just incredibly difficult.
Mhm.
um, so there's always that, so you kind of look at them with as a that, hey, I was there, what you're going through I went through, now I make a decent living and all that. And you're just trying to make this film, and okay, I want to be a part of it. And I'll show up on the set without an attitude, and luckily, I got to work with all these wonderful, actors who are, incredibly funny. I mean, TK, I used to watch her in Living Colors back in the 90s. A lot of young people wouldn't know about it, but she was so funny. Sarah, and then Samba I worked with, Karen, of course, she's a excellent stand-up comedian and very funny in the film. Um, so that's what you hope for, that you get to work with all these people and you're not thinking about like constantly money and all that. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing it for money anyway. I would still be doing acting if I weren't getting paid. I would be doing community theater and waiting tables or working at Taco Bell's or something, at my age, which was entirely possible, which but I just got lucky, uh, because I mean, just being a working actor is a miracle, honest to God, because there are 164,000 members, in our union, SAG-AFTRA, and I don't know how many of them make a living, maybe a few thousand, 10,000 at not even maybe, like a decent living now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, always grateful for that, for even an indie film,
So true, so true. And for yourself, because your career has changed. It is a little bit of luck, and I also noticed the trends. There are starting to be more opportunities for South Asians.
Yeah,
Do you think
yes.
you helped open that door, or do you think it's just you were just riding that trend at this time?
I mean, I don't know, it would sound very like pretentious if I said that I opened the door. But I do have a lot of like, youngsters, uh, there's one guy, Chris, and he on my Twitter, feed, he once like left this message that that I when I was like I struck when I was younger actor, looked at this guy, and he gave me hope, and he and I knew that it's possible, and he's this Indian, American Indian actor, young guy. He's probably in his early 30s now, and he saw me, doing all my, he saw my work in the 90s when he was growing up as a kid. So I have a lot of, youngsters who come to me and say, "Oh God, you were kind of a beacon for us," and they use all these wonderful words, and I mean, they say a lot of flattering things. But I know that I was probably the first South Asian like face that came into your living rooms on selling cereal or Sprint, the phones and AT&T. I mean, I've got McDonald's. I mean, you name it, I've done them all. So commercials were really something that put my face out there and made it, a familiar face. And then, of course, I started to work at, in sitcoms and something like, yeah, I've done ER as well, dramas as well. But I was like one of the handful of ones, and among them, I was, I think, in my batch, probably more successful than the others. Um, so yeah, I mean, and I've heard that I do hear that all the time, that yeah, you've opened doors for us and thank you, and I'm uh, but when I was doing it, I was just pursuing my passion. I wasn't really doing it. Hey, oh, I'm gonna do it for the community. I'm gonna go and no, I mean, I loved acting and I want to be a working actor. That's what I was doing. And in the process, you end up, changing things for the people who come, after you. So yeah, I mean, that would be an honor if somebody, if I go down in history and that's, yeah, he was one of the guys who opened the doors, for his kind, or all the brown people, and the minorities. Like, I always like think of the people who came before me, all these, you minority actors, what was her name in Gone with the Wind, who won an Academy Award, this African American, wonderful
Oh yeah,
actress.
the name escapes me
What
too.
she was offered at that time, that role was so stereotypical. You won't see that anymore. But I mean, she took it and she ran with it, you know. And I always think that it was because of her that likes of me can do what we do, because these people open the doors for you and then you do your part, and hopefully you do it well enough that they notice you, and they're not afraid to hire likes of you, which was the case. That my God, if we bring in this Asian guy or this guy, black guy, would it do well at the box office? I don't know. I mean, it's a very recent phenomena when you see a movie, starring Denzel Washington, doing well on box office. It wasn't always the case because they never really got cast, in lead roles like that. Because people are afraid to, not just the prejudice, but also the money thing, they used to think. But I think that this country is way more liberal than, it's given credit, for really. People are way more open-minded than, what the Hollywood thinks, really.
So true, so true. Well said. Well, I've taken a lot of your time, but let me wrap it up with one last question. Tell us about the sloppy kiss in this film.
I mean, I always like, I never really get to kiss anybody in anything, because I'm the funny guy or serious guy, or I usually don't, they don't cast me as a lover boy, and I'm the shoot. I mean, look at me, right? Uh, so I mean, I was just telling somebody, that I had a scene with Takea, and it's one of the probably the second time that I was supposed to kiss somebody on the screen. And before we started to shoot, you kind of, I forgot my conversation with Takea, that what are we going to do? Like, do you want to do it when we rehearse, or do you want to, oh, look, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, or I don't want to be uncomfortable myself. And so in rehearsal, we didn't do it. But once we started to roll, you know, uh, and then we did the scene, and I'm supposed to kiss, and I kiss, and she turns her head, and I end up kissing her like right there instead of on her lips. And then I find out that, okay, the camera angle was couldn't see our kiss, and that's why. And I said, okay, she wants to wait till the camera actually is able to catch it. So then I, learned it's very embarrassing, but, you know.
Oh, it's a funny scene, and I'm glad you had the opportunity to do it because I know a lot of people don't even have that opportunity to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's a pleasure speaking to you about this film, Advanced Chemistry. I hope to speak to you again. So next time, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Bye bye.